Here in Nashville, Tennessee, well, Franklin to be exact, just got out of this press conference room over here where Nissan Infiniti detailed a very exquisite and exciting roadmap and product development, announcement sort of meeting. I have notes here, and a lot of this stuff is now officially I'm able to share. So I'm very excited. You guys have a little picture-in-picture, the water, you see some TFL, little, Redline reviews in the back, as well as the cars, right? The plug-in hybrid, which we'll talk about this plug-in hybrid today, which is a rebadged Outlander and the Rogue plug-in hybrid. We'll talk about that QX80 trail back there. We'll talk about hybrids. That was the main talk today. Hybrids, hybrid. When can we expect it? How can we expect it? Miles per gallon range. I have a much better idea now for you guys today. All right. So let's hit the ball off. Let's start the kickoff per se with Nissan. All right. The Rogue is their most important vehicle. I think most of you guys would agree. It's their highest volume seller. And I've said for a long time now that the Rogue's biggest issue is, well, it's mediocre, if not subpar powertrain with, CVT, VC turbo, it has no top end to it. It can be loud at times. Well, I have great news for you guys. And the news is, first of all, watch my Qashqai driving impressions, which is going to have that third gen e-power that this Rogue will have starting next year. By the end of 2026, I wouldn't say when, but I'm gonna say by the end of 2026, the Rogue is officially getting e-power third gen, all right? What's crazy, I didn't know, I didn't expect them to do this. They have confirmed that the Rogue is launching as hybrid only initially. So when it comes out next year, it's launching as a hybrid and then a gas model following thereafter. I don't have any information on the gas model. If it's CVT, VC turbo combination that we currently have, that's a possibility. All right, so, but even more exciting is that the e-power that the Rogue has or will have next year, it's going to be exclusive in all-wheel drive, dual motor. One motor for the front wheels, one motor for the rear wheels. And as a result, it should provide minimum, I would say, 210 horsepower. The Qashqai that I drove yesterday had about 205 PS, so probably around 202, 203 horsepower technically. So I'm expecting minimum 210, 213 horsepower. If you look at the X-Trail second gen e-power over in Europe, it has about 213 horsepower. So I think it's logical to think that the new third gen e-power will have more. Now, I asked Nissan, I'm like, hey, can you confirm what kind of engine will we see? Will we see this new stark combustion, 42% internal combustion thermal efficiency engine, 3-cylinder turbo? That engine that's in the Qashqai that I drove yesterday, is it going to be on the Rogue? And one answer I got was, well, maybe look to Europe in the second gen Qashqai, see what kind of engine displacement that has, and then maybe you can come to the conclusion on the engine that we'll have here in the United States. Well, the second gen Qashqai e-power and Rogue X-Trail over in Europe, it has a 1.5 liter VC turbo 3-cylinder, but we know that's being scrapped for this third gen e-power. So I still don't know. I think logically it makes sense for it to be the same engine that's in the Qashqai, the 1.5 liter new stark combustion, really efficient 3-cylinder turbo that is also seen in the new L Grand. If the L Grand full-size minivan that's available in the US, available in Japan, used to be available in the US as the Quest, if that has the same engine as the Qashqai, which is a smaller vehicle, then why wouldn't the Rogue? So that's where my logic has led me. And as a result, I don't think we'll see much more power output than what we see in the Qashqai, and that's okay. Nissan just needs to have an efficient, smooth, and reliable hybrid on the market, and they just don't have anything like that quite yet in America. Fuel economy, we did get some numbers, and it's not official. This thing hasn't been rated by EPA, fuel economy, but Nissan is hoping for 39 to 41 miles per gallon on the Rogue hybrid e-Power when it comes out next year. If you look at like the RAV4 might be able to beat that a little bit because the RAV4 can have a front-wheel drive hybrid, and that can get in the low to mid 40s. It's hard to say for sure, but let's just say 40 miles per gallon is what the new Rogue hybrid is going to be, which is great. All right, it's a great place to be. Having that smoothness, having that hybrid fuel economy, having that great torque that you get from e-Power, etc. But lastly about the Rogue hybrid, and then we'll move on to things like the Xterra. The Rogue could potentially have a bigger battery than the 2.1 kilowatt hour. Nissan wouldn't confirm battery size, and maybe it's not like official yet. But if we look at the Qashqai has a 2.1 kilowatt hour battery on the 3rd gen e-Power that I drove yesterday. I looked up the Elgrand, which just launched last month when I was at the Japan Mobility Show. That has dual motor all-wheel drive, and it has the 2.1 kilowatt hour battery that the Qashqai has. Okay, now the highway demands are different here in the United States. The problem is if you put in a bigger battery, that adds weight to the upcoming Rogue e-Power. So they could put something like a 2.5 liter or 3 kilowatt hour battery. Maybe that helps them get better highway fuel economy. But there's going to be, I mean, anytime you stuff in more battery, it's more cost, more weight. And those two things drag down, in theory, desirability, cost and weight. All right, so let's move on. I think it's safe to say just copy and paste the Qashqai's 3rd gen e-Power, make a dual motor, give it an extra 10, 15 horsepower, give it 40 miles per gallon, done. All right, let's move on. Xterra, we did get a teaser. I can't show you the teaser, but in the teaser, and it was, the image I saw of the teaser was a mud flap of the rear wheel that said Xterra. It had all-terrain tires. I don't remember the wheel size or anything. I don't think you could tell the wheel size, probably 18-inch wheels if I had to guess. It looked like a solid rear axle in the back, which is similar to something like a 4Runner. All right. They did say that the Xterra is probably going to be a little bit bigger than previous generations. Well, if you look at the 2nd generation Xterra, it seemingly was a lot bigger than the 1st gen Xterra. Just don't make it too big. I mean, we have the Armada, that's great, it's huge. Make something 4Runner sized. Don't overcomplicate it. Put the 3.8 liter V6 in there that the Frontier has. Now, Nissan did say that it will be fuel efficient. And I immediately think, well, V6 hybrid. And which gets me excited for a potential V6 hybrid and the Frontier too. Could they plug in hybrid? Absolutely, if they wanted to, but it's just too expensive. Let's be real. All right, hybrids are much more affordable. Now, would it be an e-Power? And the answer is absolutely not. This is rear-wheel drive bias, body-on-frame platform. It cannot be an e-Power front-wheel drive based system. At least I don't expect it to be. I could be wrong. But the engine has to power the wheels in an off-roader, at least in a Nissan off-roader in my brain. So I don't think there's any way that it's an e-Power where it's only electric motor driven. The V6 is just a generator. All right, if it's a solid rear axle, I mean, rear wheel drive bias, like it's going to be a V6 or V6 hybrid. Simple as that. Okay, Nissan also teased some partnership stuff. They wouldn't say Mitsubishi, even though you see the Mitsubishi Outlander Rogue plug-in hybrid behind me, the Outrogue or the Rogue Lander, whatever you want to call it. I have more information on that here in a second. But the partnerships, they didn't say if it was Honda, they didn't say if it was Ford, they didn't mention anything. But in regards to, I guess, the companies that they're working with, but they did mention that there are 3 vehicles, and they were draped over, and they're not physically here, but we saw images, okay? And the 3 vehicle types that there were drapes over was a truck, a sedan, and a crossover. I could spend a video just on what those 3 potential vehicles could be. But if I had to guess with the truck, maybe Nissan and Honda working together in Mississippi, so the ridgeline that's going away, which is front wheel drive bias, can get a real body on frame. That's one theory. Another theory is Nissan has mentioned that they are going to be building body on frame trucks in Mexico with Mitsubishi. That one makes more sense to me, to be honest, than Honda getting a rebadged Frontier out of Canton, Mississippi. All right, the sedan partnership, I have no idea. The Sentra I drove today, stay tuned for my driving impressions. The Sentra, maybe Mitsubishi could rebadge a Sentra, but the thing is, it doesn't make any, like, Mitsubishi needs United States production because they have zero United States production. It's all imported from Japan. So a sedan partnership, unless it's with Honda, I honestly don't, that one's a huge mystery. I haven't put a lot of thought into it, and I'm not going to try to figure it out here on camera. What about the crossover that I saw? It looked like a mid-size crossover, but it's just a placeholder image. As I go back, as I'm remembering the truck under drapes, it kind of looked like a Mitsubishi Triton, but it's under drapes, so I have really no idea. That's just a guess. Maybe that's wishful thinking that we get a Triton. I don't know. Anyways, back to that crossover. It looked like mid-size. Who knows who they could be partnering up for a mid-size crossover? I don't know. Nissan has plenty of crossovers, so unless it's like an additional hybrid to their lineup, I just don't know. I don't understand these 3 partnerships, because Nissan already has these things. So unless they're going to be shelling these out to partners as rebadges, then I just don't get it. Okay, let's talk about this vehicle to the left of me, behind me. Not the incredible QX80 there, but the Rogue plug-in hybrid. The plan was a few things, all right? The plan was for it to have an EV tax credit. It doesn't have it. The plan was also for it to be out on the market for a couple years to fill in the gap before the Rogue hybrid came. Well, Ivan Espinosa got in charge. Watched my interview with him last month in Japan at the Japan Mobility Show. Ivan Espinosa has fast-tracked the Rogue hybrid for production here in the United States. Like I said, 2026, end of 2026. In which that Rogue plug-in hybrid will probably be dead just after 1 model year. And someone asked Nissan, they're like, why even bring it at that point? And they're like, well, we just wanted to have some sort of electrified hybrid option for our customers. We know volume's going to be low on it. They said it's going to be, I don't know pricing on it, but they said it's going to be priced at the top end of what the Rogue currently is priced at. I don't know whether Rogue's top end platinum, mid 40s, upper 40s, I don't even know. It's not worth it at that price point, I'll tell you that. If you want to see my impressions on this vehicle right here, this red vehicle, this Rogue, if you want to see my impressions on it, you'll have to wait. But in the meantime, you can just watch my Outlander plug-in hybrid review that I did a couple years ago with the family. All right. I think that's all I have for Nissan. Okay, we have Xterra coming in soon. They said there's going to be a big announcement soon. So get your all-terrain, your off-roading pants ready, your 4x4 pants ready, because we should have an announcement of Xterra soon. They said very soon. That's all I know. Rogue coming next year as a hybrid at launch, dual motor, all-wheel drive standard. And we're getting partnerships, even though they make no sense to me because there's no information given other than just draped vehicles. And Rogue plug-in hybrid, one and done. What you see here, that's gonna be one of the most rare vehicles you'll ever see on the road is the Rogue plug-in hybrid, because it will last just 1 model year, barring a miracle. Like It would be a miracle if that vehicle gets extended an additional model year when the Rogue comes down the hatch as a hybrid. So let's move on to Infiniti. Infiniti, man, I'm like a huge Infiniti cheerleader. I want them to do well. I remember their glory days, the FX and the Gs back in the early and mid 2000s. All right, they peaked in sales around 150,000 sales in 2017. In 2029, it'll be 40 years, and I'll be 40 at that point, of Nissan's luxury brand on the market. All right, and they will be having product launches just about every single year leading up to that 40th anniversary. All right, so you see behind me that QX80 Terrain spec that was debuted, was it SEMA, LA Auto Show? I forget. It's amazing. There's a track spec as well. They both could have minimum 650 horsepower, twin turbo V6, 3.5 liter. Not the GTR engine that you saw in the R spec. That is still a possibility. An R spec is not off, like it's not a 0% chance, meaning the GTR's engine with 800 horsepower, whatever that thing had at SEMA. There's not a 0% chance, but it's still low. All right. The track spec with 650 or more horsepower with the 3.5 liter, not the 3.8 liter twin turbo V6 that you see in the GTR, but the one you see in the Armada, for example, that seems to be extraordinarily likely, either a track spec or a terrain spec. Now, it seems like dealers, if they had to pick between the two, would want the track spec, because the terrain spec, you can almost spec a QX80 out right now. You can put a light bar on it, you can put fenders on it, you can put all-terrain tires on it, you can lift it. All right, it just wouldn't be from the factory, it would be from a dealer. All right, so it's not like it's that far out of the equation of reality, the terrain spec, but I would like to see both a track spec and a terrain spec for their best vehicle right now, which is a QX80. All right, R spec is still a possibility, like I said, with the GTR engine, but I would say like a 1% chance. What about QX65? Well, I saw it, not in person, but images. And the QX65, it's a coupe crossover, obviously, like the QX55 was. That vehicle has been discontinued, the 55. The QX65 is a big two-row coupe crossover. It looks a lot like the Monograph. The Monograph had a little bit more chrome, I would say, and then the new, or the more updated image that I saw, the QX65, like the front end, and I'll put the Monograph QX65 concept up for you guys, but the front end, like, it kind of sucked in a little bit, not like like the grill is still there, it's kind of like a QX80 grill. It looks very similar to a QX80 grill, maybe a little bit sportier, a little bit glossier, but it just kind of sucks in around the headlight garnishes on the side. It's a little bit more cropped in. There's almost like a teeth effect outside of the grill where the bumper on top and the bumper on the bottom kind of come up and meet each other. It looks extraordinarily aggressive. And they said the QX65 was inspired by the old FX coupes, or should I say FX coupe crossover, which is the segment that Infiniti kind of pioneered in the 2000s, right? Now, I asked, I don't think I can share, but I asked Infiniti what kind of powertrain. They wouldn't give me a straight answer, but if I had to guess, I would guess VC turbo, 4-cylinder with the 9-speed auto instead of a V6. You guys know I'd rather have the V6 than the VC turbo. Not only the QX60, but also the QX65, but that doesn't look to be the case. Time will tell. It's not official, but it doesn't look to be a V6 in the QX65, unfortunately. That's all I have to say about the QX65, other than it is coming in 2026. And I might be able to get hands-on with it, maybe not drive it, but hands-on with it in the early part of next year. Next is what I'm calling the QX50. Infiniti hasn't given this vehicle a name. I saw this vehicle as well, at least in renders. This is an Infiniti version of the Rogue. It looks nothing like the Rogue, I'll tell you that. It looks nothing like the Rogue. All right. will have e-power. It'll be hybrid only. The QX50 is what I'm calling it. Now, the design of it is way more boxy than what the QX65 is. It's way more boxy than the old QX50. And it doesn't have a lot of soft lines on it. It's more, you know, angular, kind of like the QX80 is angular. And so the hood has two blocky haunches on each side of this, what I'm calling the QX50 e-power hybrid. And a hood that just came out that looks almost identical to what I saw in this QX50 was a RAV4's hood. RAV4 has a really muscular new front end, should I say hood, and it looks like the new QX50 or whatever they're going to call it has a very similar hood design. The side profile looks a lot like the QX80, but harder edges. You have a hard door line that goes the length of the vehicle. And the very back of the QX50 design, you have that little window art. So you have this window trim at the bottom, and it kind of cuts up a little bit like the QX80 does on the window trim there. All right. On the back of the QX50, it was a light bar, very similar to the I would say QX65, except without the taller every third LED light. On the QX65 was bigger than the rest of the light bar lights. The QX50 lights were all about the same size that went throughout the back. Now, just looking at the back of the vehicle, it looked a lot like the new RAV4 when you just look at the overall silhouette. I'm not saying the bumper garnishes or the glass or the taillights per se, but it kind of had the silhouette of a RAV4 from behind on the new QX50 design that I saw, but with a full light bar that goes across. And a little bit more angular on the back, I would say, than the new RAV4. Okay, it looks better than a RAV4 from the side, I'll say that. I'm bringing the RAV4 up a lot because it looked a lot like it mixed with the If you took a RAV4 and you mixed it with the QX80, that's what this QX50 looked like. And I think that's a good thing because both of those are pretty good looking vehicles, especially the QX80. The grille on this QX50 looked very solid, all right? Now, what I saw, again, it's going to be e-power. It's going to be hybrid. I don't know if it's going to be hybrid only. I don't know if they confirmed that, but for sure will be a hybrid, again, with e-power, third gen, that the Rogue will have. Will they give it a bigger battery pack? Will they offer a plug-in hybrid on it? Because it's an Infiniti, they can offer a vehicle at a higher price point and get away with it. I hope so. I hope it gives us a little bit more than what the Rogue e-power hybrid does, in terms of power output, in terms of also having an optional plug-in hybrid with it. For the enthusiast out there, so that QX50, by the way, is supposed to be coming in 2028. They didn't say that for sure, but that's my words. 2028 QX50 hybrid, and I'm calling it a QX50. Infiniti refuses to call it a new QX50. I don't know. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Now, new sports sedan is coming. I'm calling it the Q50. They wouldn't give it a name to it. It is an updated version of the old Q50 that we got, AKA the Nissan Skyline. That is coming in 2027. What dealers were saying is what I heard today too. Rear wheel drive, manual transmissions, twin turbo V6. Excuse me, think Nissan Z, but 4 doors and it looks like an Infiniti. Sounds good to me. Sounds great to me. Manual transmission, twin turbo sedan, rear wheel drive. That sounds great. And how about they drop the 650 horsepower twin turbo V6 that's in the terrain spec and the track spec, drop that into the top end variant of the new Q50. Whew. Man, can you imagine? That's all I have. No, I told Nissan and I told Infiniti, their reps, I told them face to face, this Qashqai over here that you're letting us sample from Europe, bring it to America, badge it as an Infiniti, restyle it a little bit, improve the NVH just a hair, market it as a freaking Infiniti. They need as much product as they can freaking get. All right, Infiniti, they just have 2 cars now. Next year they'll have 3 cars when the QX65 comes out, but really it's just a coupe crossover of the QX60 3 row with 2 rows. All right, so not entirely sold in the QX65 yet. It's gorgeous, but look, the old QX50 was gorgeous too. That didn't save it. All right, that plant shut down in Mexico. So next year they'll have 3 cars on the market, but really like a variant of one of the cars. So 2.5 cars, you could say. We'll have the Q50 the next year. So 4 cars or 3.5, and then you'll have the QX50 after that to round out the decade. But a stopgap right now, give us a subcompact crossover, rebadge the Qashqai, built-in Sunderland, UK, and give it some Infiniti styling. I didn't see or hear anything about that. And it's just unfortunate because it seems like it would be an easy fix from my perspective to bring that in, all right? Yes, there's gonna be 10-15% tariff on cars coming from UK. Now they also build Qashqai, I think, I could be wrong, maybe it was in the past, in Japan. They for sure build it in China, but there's no way with tariffs it would come in from China. They could find a way to sell it in America as an Infiniti. It's a really good car, all right, and it's just unfortunate. But other than that, let me know if you guys have any questions, comments. I could keep going on a lot of these topics like partnerships and Xterra. Like more body on frame vehicles, the future Pathfinder. I have the Pathfinder right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm sure it's on the camera. But the Pathfinder is great the way it is right now. Like, it's fantastic, but make it body on frame, keep the V6, hybridize it, make a rear wheel drive bias. Like, that all sounds good, like gravy to me. But I'll see you guys in the comments. I'm happy to give you guys this update. I got to catch my plane flight back to Southwest Florida, back to the 80-degree weather. I've been filming this probably in about 35, maybe it got to 40 degrees. The sun being out is a game changer. All right, and yeah, my hands are getting a little numb at this point. I'll see you guys in the comments. Infiniti, Nissan, they have cool stuff coming. Unfortunately, no Elgrand. Where's the Elgrand Infiniti? Or sorry, where's the Elgrand Nissan? Where's my Nissan Quest hybrid? Man, a family man can dream, can he? All right, have a great day, guys. Peace.